I give up. I must have been attacked by a Yaraneda or something, cause all my motivation sapped out and I don't feel like doing anything. I'm just gonna keep playing Zelda and enjoy this last day of the weekend. Who knows? For all I know, this guy, that guy's gonna be a no-show again. And yeah, I just don't feel like writing for the other stuff I should be writing on for. So rather than ultimately you waste more time doing nothing than you do doing something.
The sword always leads to negative outcomes, like with the incursions place, but I don't think we ever saw George getting corrupted by the sword. Ben, maybe, in the finale? Like, I'll get to that when I get to that. But even with Ben, it seemed like it was just him really thinking about his capability with the sword rather than actually being corrupted.
So you're saying the sword needs someone worthy?
The power of the sword will overwhelm you too.
But in what way, though? Like a literal sense or like just a temptation sense?
I had something that belonged to him. Maybe I could find him.
How about this?
Boom, Kevin.
Came out when he threw me off him.
Oh, look at this layering. That's a little funky.
You now know the stakes.
Which means now that you do know what you're talking about, George will kill you.
He's at Area 51.
Oh my god, yes, Area 51, right. I didn't even include that in my recap at the beginning of the last breakdown. I forgot all about Area 51. There it is, teleported to the side of a cliff, which is a pretty neat concept. Like, I don't get why it has to be Area 51 specifically. I guess that kind of plays into, like, the Knights' favoritism of alien technology. Sir George, the founder of the Forever Knights, defeated Dagon using alien technology, so perhaps that's what spawned their obsession with it. That's cool, seeing the shield absorb back into the shoulder. We see them spawn their weapons a lot, but not really put them away. Ricocheting the laser off of her shield. With all the laser people she fights, you think she would do this more. Oh, that's such a quick scene, but I love it. Kevin protects Gwen, Gwen protects Kevin. I'm gonna watch that again. I love that. It's just great coordination.
So predictable. Tell me, Master Tennyson.
Of course, George has his own fancy chair. Every villain has their own fancy chair. You gotta have a chair.
Yet to live a single lifetime knows better than I would have lived 1,000.
Everything he says is just so cool. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not even that big of a medieval person. Like, I'm just really not sci-fi all the way. But something about old George, I love it so much. It's mostly in the writing. Like, whoever's writing for him, they always do a solid job with George. The way he speaks and the way he acts is completely in tune with the fact that he's lived this long. You can just tell. You get that vibe from him.
Azimuth has lived way more than that.
And notice he isn't here.
He's just so sly and suave with his words, and what a perfect response. There we go. Going ultimate. I don't even care that he goes ultimate anymore. It's just like, you might as well, because that's what the show's about. He did that spinning move in the Purge as well. Oh snap, takes that slice straight on. That's a pretty good morph into his missile hands. Very small thing, but it's neat seeing him run while using his missiles. Usually he stands stationary. George deflects every single one of them. It does a shockwave right back.
That sword has too much power for you. You've had people second-guessing you, Master Tennyson. Elizabeth, to your parents, to those jackals in the media.
This scene right here, I love this interaction between George and Ben. In fact, I think this scene is what solidified him as one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise.
Does it not frustrate you? A little. Welcome to my world.
This is one of the first people that's ever genuinely sympathized with Ben, and not only that, but actually has the experience to do so. Like, some people show sympathy for Ben, but he's the first one who's really like Ben. And he's just like, yeah, everyone's always telling you not to do things your way, but doesn't that suck? Don't you think you're right? And it's like, whoa, where is this coming from? I'm not saying I completely agree with them right here, but it's just interesting to see a character challenge Ben in the regards that he's actually siding with him and trying to get him to see they have very similar perspectives, whereas Ben is usually used to everyone telling him he's wrong, and he has to do the right thing, which is usually not what he actually wanted to do. Now George is like, no, You're right. You've been right this whole time. Everybody else is wrong. Don't you see that? And no one's ever really spoken to Ben like that before. Choreography's feeling a little bit weak in this episode, though. We've had a ton of great fights to compare this to, and not really feeling this one.
That sword will corrupt. It didn't before. I achieved great things with it.
That's what I was saying too. Like, they say that, but was George really corrupted by the sword? Not really.
My feats are legendary. Mine have stood the test of time. With what stars will you align?
It's just a great line too there. That one always stuck with me. With what stars would you align? Because George is just straight up spitting facts here too, because they're both legendary characters right now. George has a history of being legendary. Ben has done so much, accomplished great things, and saved everyone a dozen times over. But he's only 16. Like, how are people going to look at this hundreds of years in the future?
Because the very people you're trying to help won't trust you.
If I can't keep that whole line due to copyright, I'm just throwing that on screen, because that's just another brilliantly written line for George. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I just can't stress enough that it's really fascinating to see a character speak to Ben in this regard. He feels like the most different, but most necessary character in like all 141 episodes I've seen so far. Maybe not the best one, but it's like he adds such a special element that doesn't break the universe, but makes you see it in a different way.
What do you want?
And it even gets through to Ben. He's frustrated because he's like, you know what, you're right, so I'll hear it out.
To be left alone so that I can destroy my ancient enemy.
Fine, but when you fail, sword is mine.
George agrees too. I feel like it's half because he truly doesn't believe he'll fail, so he's like, whatever. But also, like, he respects Ben enough to be like, alright, if I can fail, it really is up to you.
This way we have two chances. George has earned the right to try it his way. I think you shouldn't have tried to stop him.
Man, what a turn of events. This is crazy. It takes so long for this episode to get to this point, but I think it's worth it.
George says I'm like him, and you say I'm like you.
You could be right.
What?
Even Gwen and Kevin are confused. And it is confusing because Azabeth and George both see themselves in Ben, but you know, people are three-dimensional and complicated. There probably are bits of Ben that is very much like George and Azabeth, but it's not 100%. Nobody is ever 100% like anybody. And when you really think about it, you can see yourself in a lot of people. They can probably see themselves in you. There's no one thing that unifies every single person together in a similar fashion. But what there is a bunch of metaphorical connections between all these different people. Now, once everything links up, it creates this singular unity where everybody is just like everybody else because of the way all these pieces fit together, not because there's one thing that everybody shares. Also like a puzzle.
All the reasons I told you that I built the Omnitrix, real reason. I was hoping she would notice.
Something about that gets me. And it's also kind of sad because we never do see a resolution with him and Zen. I don't think there should have been one because sometimes things just are the way they are. But now something else I do like Azabeth and Zen. I can't say it. I do like the story between Azabeth and Zen. It's a bit generic, it's a bit cliche, it doesn't even have that much screen time, but it's enough to add just a little bit more necessary as opposed to like the Max flashback episode, where it seemed like that was done just for the hell of it. It doesn't really add anything. Okay, so I obviously had a lot of fun with this episode, but still, overall, it's kind of just I think it definitely focuses a little bit too much on the first half. Like, all of Azabeth's backstory, the story itself is great, but the way it's presented, it just felt like it was very long for the story that didn't need to be that long. Like, if they were going to focus that much on it, maybe I would have developed Azabeth and Zen a little more than done the whole, there's a volcano on Primus, and the incursion to live on their home planet because of how dangerous the sword is. Once we started delving back into the George stuff, that's where the flashbacks were really worth it. We see Azabeth's interaction with George, that was all very great. This episode is resolved by Ben just allowing George to try it his way. They fought a little bit, but their problems weren't resolved by who won or lost the fight. Like, Ben didn't get an edge over George, but then spared him anyway. Or vice versa, George didn't defeat Ben, thus allowing him to get ahead and just talk things out. And I think that was a very smart move.
Okay then, never mind.
George's and also
I was gonna say,
subvert your
wow, I'm
expectations.
actually,
Like, I don't
the
know,
defense
there's a lot
up is
stuff that
actually
we
really
dragged on with this episode.
good
We've been
here.
getting a lot of action scenes with the Forever Knights lately, and all the Gwen and Kevin stuff towards the end. Like,
But
some
nope,
of it looked
that
pretty
guy
great, but it just felt like, alright, we're just kind
bonked
of
me in the head real good.
eating up time here. I guess
And
there's
that
not
was it
really
for
much
me.
you could do with this episode. Like, if you take out some scenes, it would just be extending others. There's no real, like, additional scenes or additional content you could add in. Characterizations, I wanted to give it higher just because of my admiration for George, and of course that ending conversation with Ben is brilliant. But the first half of this episode, the characters were
Right, I just
really
remembered I
fun.
should try
The
getting some
characters were
fairies
kinda
again and
just there
stuff.
to listen to Asmund. And I get, like, at this point you have to have those scenes
And
in order
more
to tell your
defense.
story, but it does weaken the characters. It's like you can't have it all. So to give the story a benefit, the characters took a hit. But I mean, there wasn't anything really character breaking. It just felt like they were written kind of lackluster compared to usual. Visuals, again, 3. It was neat seeing all the flashback stuff, neat seeing all the locations, and I liked seeing Sir George in action finally, using the capability of Ascalon, and also finding out what happened to Area 51. Like, granted, I forgot all about it, but it's still pretty cool with what they're doing with it. But none of that stuff really adds to anything stronger than 3. Still just kind of average visuals, it does the job. Importance is another 5. And entertaining, again, it's kind of average. Like, best I can give it a 3. I can even see it dropping down to a 2. But I feel like just the concept of seeing flashback Asmund, seeing flashback George, and seeing the resolution of how they handle things, like, that's all pretty good stuff. But a 3 though, I don't know. You know what? I think I'm talking myself out of a 3. I think I am just gonna give it a 2. Like, I'm really trying not to let my bias show. Like, I love this episode. I really do. But it's like, I can see how this just isn't it. Even for myself, like I said, the first half of this episode kind of drags, but like, this isn't really like even average. This is a little bit below average in terms of entertainment. But that still leaves this episode off at a 16 out of 25. Let's move on to the final thoughts. So when I was editing this breakdown, I noticed that Fast Track didn't move his mouth when he shouted his name. Not a big deal, this error actually happens a lot in Ben 10, but what makes this stand out to me is it seems like they reused his audio from the previous episode. Ben, and I guess the writers, have been weaning Ben away from shouting his names every single time lately, so perhaps the scene was written and boarded with Ben immediately using Fast Track without the name shout, but the name shouting was added in during the final edit, as Fast Track was still a new alien and audiences were probably getting used to him. Well, last week I asked y'all what your favorite part of this multi-storyline arc was, and nearly half the votes went to Sir George's quest. It's a win, but not by as wide of a margin as some other polls. I also find it funny that folks find some fillers more interesting than the Esoterica plot, but I guess that makes sense, as in a previous poll, folks were more fond of their powers than their actual lore. For this week, I wanted to ask y'all what your favorite reasoning for making the Omnitrix was. For beings to better understand each other, to function as a DNA backup drive, to make amends for causing
maybe I should go to
chaos,
Akala.
or to apologize to Zenith. Let me know what you think in the community tab when this video goes live. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. And as always, keep it visible.
I do think some Guardian stuff would help me out a bit. Again, I don't really have much of anything. And I doubt Kelton. Yeah, I don't really have much of a choice in what I can do. Until I can beat and fulfill my thingy to expand my inventory.
First off, I'm somewhat limited in how I can thrust from here, right? Because, like, obviously this is kind of crappy, right? As opposed to...
YouTube frogs! Well, I'll be back here. Second half of Edge.
First off, I'm somewhat limited in how I can thrust from here, right? Because, like, obviously this is
Bye-bye.
crappy, right? As opposed to this, which is great. And I have a lot less reach here, simply because if I hold the sword like this, I can tilt my wrist
I need better
forward,
equipment.
and I can use a
That
handshake
much
grip
I'm sure of.
to have quite a bit of reach. This is my maximum reach. It's not the same, and binding
And I
is
actually have
much
the means
easier
to
here.
achieve
I
that.
can disengage very quickly, easily Okay, this is all great. Not so much here. Like, this is a pretty terrible position for a bite this way, at this reach. We'll see more about that in a moment. So this is really not great. Alright? And, I mean, I can't disengage, it's just, it feels a bit more awkward. That might just be a matter of practice, in all fairness. If, let's say, he cuts and I defend against that, right? Now I do have a bite, of course, and this is actually pretty strong. So this I can work with. If he wants to leave the bind, I can tuck it up. If he wants to leave the bind, I can follow. Maybe it doesn't work that well. Leave the bind? Yeah. Okay, I can respond to it better if he leaves the bind and goes over there. If he does it here, I don't think I'm suddenly magically slower when I hold it this way. So I'm not entirely sure what it is. Oh, I know what it is. All I have to do here is pull my hand down and it defends me, okay? Because my hand is so high here and he comes over there, I need to pull this in much further over here to be able to catch this because my arm otherwise is right here. So my arm is quite exposed whenever I'm in this kind of position. So this is really hard to avoid. So that's definitely a drawback here. There are some cases where it's easy to overstate how much of a problem this is. Like for example, if we show how we can cut every angle in conventional grip plus more, you can do the false edge cuts from each angle, right? All of this. And then you can show, okay, this is okay, somewhat awkward. This is great. This is great. This is impossible, terrible. However, the same way as you can do a false edge cut like this, you can do this. It's not a cut really. It's more of a thrust or like a mix of the two, sort of. It could be a tip cut like that. But yeah, I could say that, well, this angle is out if I'm biased against it, or I can say, let's do this instead. It's still a viable attack. It's not the same thing, but I can do it. It's not going to have the same reach for your shoulder here. This is my reach like this from that side. That's not happening at all. This is also not happening, but it's like super far away, so I have a bit less. In other words, I would have to lean forward like this. It's still a disadvantage compared to that, don't get me wrong, but it's not impossible, and, we gotta be a little bit more fair here, is what I'm trying to say. Which cuts are effective? This is great, this is very strong, powerful biomechanically. So is this. Like, everything is aligned properly, I can, rotate my body into it, no problem. This is a more awkward in the conventional grip from here, because I have to, turn my wrist around like that. That's actually better here. Like, this is actually the strongest cut that you have from here. With a conventional grip, anything downward is strong. Here, this is actually the strongest. Again, this is better than this, and this is okay. I would compare this to maybe this, because this is a little awkward. This is a little awkward, but it's doable. So through all angles, boom, 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 boom. Not a big deal, really. And you have different options. For this, you can either do it this way, or you can do it this way. This is more of a displacement, more of an active displacement. So, right, that sort of thing. Same on this. I mean, I wouldn't really.
I think I'll get the
you can
armor
try
and
to
reeds
again
instead.
displace, but it's biomechanically not good. This is way stronger, right? However, you can deflect this way. So that's the equivalent to this. No problem, that works. And the one case where I find this is better is guarding your legs, because that can be a bit awkward. Because if he aims at my leg, I can cut into it. This takes typically too long, I find. It's a valid defense, but usually in sparring it takes too long. Same on this side, I can cut into it. Bit awkward, right? I can do this, you know, boom, not fantastic. This is on this side, that's really bad. This is not good. Here, on the other hand, minimal effort. Boom. I can cover all this. If I have a longer blade, I can literally stick it into the ground if I want for extra support. So then, if we look at static block versus deflection, so these are all static blocks, what I just showed. If we look at deflections, so with a conventional grip, it would be if you come from here, this is a deflection parry. So I allow it to slide off, and then I counter. I can do the exact same thing here. And this is where bracing it comes in handy. Depending on the blade type, you might be able to brace it against, like with the spine, against the forearm. Spine braced against the forearm, this is like a static block. Or you can do it with the flat, braced against the forearm. This
I'm hoping for a
is
teleporter.
technically safer, because, like, I mean, you could argue if you do it this way and somebody throws a really hard cut, you might still get injured because
Yeah,
you know,
I
the
think
spine
going to
slamming
Akala
into your
is my
arm.
best.
Now, the way
The best
I look
thing
at
I
it
can
is,
do right
if
now.
somebody strikes hard enough
To
that
prepare.
they could break your arm through this, through the
course.
spine, you probably don't want to do a static block here because that's too hard. If they hit that hard, you might have to just evade or deflect or something. It's just too much. But otherwise, I think that most of the time, this is going to, it might bruise you maybe, but I don't really think it's a big deal. If you have a gambeson or a bracer or something, some kind of hard blade, yeah, do this all day. It's not going to bother you. The drawback of this, of course, is you're going to hit it on your edge, so you're going to damage your edge. We've talked about that before. The advantage of that is, if we have sharp blades, they're going to cut into each other a little bit, and the notches are going to bind. So what I can do now is pull it down, release, and counter. So I could actually use this if I want to. Or, again, I can use the flat to either block or deflect. So either I just catch it, boom, or I make it slide off, and now I have a counter here. Again, you come down. All I gotta do basically is
Oh, damn, my
turn it
inventory
and
is
tighten
full.
my top fingers, and boom, cut them through the fence.
How did they get 10
This sort
silent
of brace
princess?
defense also shows up in some historical manuscripts, generally with daggers because that's pretty much the only chance you have of stopping a longsword, and it's very difficult to pull off with such a small blade. However, with a large blade, it works quite a bit better. Essentially, you have to reverse what you would normally do with a sword. So normally with a conventional grip, as you cut, you want to tighten the two bottom fingers for maximum impact to form a rigid structure. You want to be loose at first to generate speed, and then upon impact, boom, you want to tighten it up so that everything forms a kinetic chain. Here it's the reverse. So here it's the opposite. You would use the top two fingers instead to tighten. Because if I tighten the top fingers and relax the bottom ones, it's going to snap forward in case of a feint. So if he throws up here and then feints and pulls it over there, and I try to meet it here, this is always dangerous for me because then I need to pull it all the way from over here. So normally the way to deal with that is just wait until the last moment so you don't waste time taking the bait, but you just move directly over here, which is difficult, but you get better at it with enough practice. A nice thing about doing this as a deflection is this. So if he feints now, it's already on this side, basically. So I don't need to do that much. Maybe I'm trying to catch it high and then I need to pull it down, but it's the difference between this as opposed to this. That takes a lot longer than this would. And this is actually where that's better in my opinion, because if I do it this way, this is going to be pretty difficult to respond. This would be the deflection, and then it comes down, what am I going to do? This is pretty awkward. Whereas that, no problem at all, I'm good. that's actually not bad as opposed to having to change sides. So same way as you can brace and conventional grip in case of a really strong attack. I mean, it's the same thing here. It's a little bit more awkward because you're holding it like this. You know, but you can do it. And you can do it like this. Boom. You can do it on that side. You know, whatever. It's an option. You can do it. Thrusts. This is terrible. Right? However, let's say he does diagonal downward.
Wow, that was pretty wacky.
This is actually pretty good because now I've moved offline, right? And now I can just, as I step forward, I'm going to drive it in like this. So this is more of a body movement as opposed to an arm movement, which is fun. And that's, you know, a lot of people have pointed out, this is better close up. And yeah, I would generally agree. If you have a short enough blade, let's say he thrusts. I catch it. Cut, whatever. This side. Right, I can cut to the arm too. And it's good to catch it here because what happens if I don't is, okay. Not that dangerous in my opinion because drawing slicing cuts are pretty terrible, at least based on my tests. But this, yeah, sure, why not? Or you can still use it like an oversized dagger, sort of. Depends on the shape. Speaking of shape, I picked this one because it has a very small guard. Ideally, if you want to use a sword in reverse grip, you don't want a guard here at all. You just want it on one side, not here, so you can actually brace it properly and it doesn't get in the way. In this case, I can just choke up and get it out of the way, so it's not too bad. But either way, so there are a number of situations where I can try to displace it and then, you know, work with it here. Anytime I have managed, and again, this is going to be the difficult part, getting there. Because if he uses his superior reach with a conventional grip, I may have a hard time getting in there. I can still do things like snipe the hand, which works great with a forward curved blade, by the way. I find this actually pretty useful because now also with this grip shape here, now I can pull on this forward curved pummel here, and it's going to help me snap it forward and try to get it out of the way and attack. But
there is one other problem. Just thinking about, you are limited in terms of your length for a reverse grip sword because of the way your muscles and your arm are developed. They're developed to do this sort of thing, not to do this sort of thing. So you're limited in terms of the amount of mass in your blade. Even if you've got giant forearms, how much stamina you have to fight like this, after a certain point, someone even with a moderate-sized blade in a conventional grip is just going to win out because you can't match them for reach.
I feel like to compensate for the biomechanical disadvantage, most of the time you want to work here on the strong of the blade. So a lot of the time you want to parry here anyway. Now that's true to a large extent for conventional grip too, but you have a bit more leeway on a conventional grip. You can go up to the center of the blade and you're still fine. Here, I feel like that's not really enough. Center of the blade is not enough to really deal with this because he displaces it extremely easily. And all I can do is, if he does this, is push it down. Which, I mean, it's not the worst, because then, with this guard in particular, which is actually quite useful for reverse grip, if he does this, I can push it down, and now I've got something here, potentially. One of the arguments that I've made back in 2014, where I'm like, okay, if you hold it like this, the guard doesn't protect your hand. Yeah, of course not. This way it does, particularly if you have something like this, or maybe even a basket hill. That's really more a matter of picking the appropriate design, because now I don't have to worry so much about it. If I catch it here...
Dobby, this guy's name?
Yeah, fine, whatever. My hand's okay. So, same here, if I catch it there. If anything goes wrong there,
Maybe I should get a horse
So, and this
with
is
back
another thing
strength
that people
instead
have
of
suggested.
back speed.
Reverse grip plus conventional.
Especially later on in the
You
game.
could dismiss it and just say, yeah, but why would you? You could just do
So I can actually take them into battle.
conventional bows, which is true. That that's how it was done historically, generally. So yes, would I prefer this? Usually, yeah. I don't find it's a huge disadvantage to do it this way, because this way I can use this offensively. I can defend with that, and it's not really an issue. Plus, if I manage to get close enough, now I can use it like a dagger, and for this, of course, the ice pick grip is pretty useful. There's a reason why they use it a lot in historical manuscripts, because this is a very powerful downward thrust, of course. So I don't have a problem with this. Again, also because now you can guard your legs a little bit better. At this point, I would argue this is mostly personal preference. You can maybe make some arguments that this is slightly better, maybe because again you have more agility here. You can thrust with it better, things like this. But this is really not terrible. Like, I don't mind that too much. What I don't like at all is using a longsword in reverse grip, because yeah, this is really generally a lot more awkward. You have so many options. Like doing it this way, it's so agile. You're much more exposed. This way, you have less solid options, and it doesn't even have the advantage of once you get up close, you're good. No, you're not, because now it's clunky. Now it's too large to be used effectively up close. So this I really don't like, with a couple of rare exceptions. Like, for example, let's say I provoke a high block like this, and then I'm, coming in like this. And like, there are some situations where you can switch in the middle of it and then, use a reverse grip, and then switch back. There's one way in which you can absolutely thrust straight forward in reverse grip, which is this. But the problem is, you're not really using reverse grip at that point, because you're using this hand, right? So, in order to do this effectively, you actually have to mostly let go with the reverse grip. So, am I really using reverse grip at this point? Not really. Like, it's this versus this. This is literally just a worse version of that. So, like, yes, it works, but it is a great ankle cutter, I will say that. This, it just has too many disadvantages to be worth bothering with, in my opinion. But if you are like a compulsive edgelord, in a fantasy scenario, and you really, really want to make this work because it's so damn cool, can you? Yeah, I would say so. Would it be at a disadvantage? Most of the time, yes. I feel like it would be a situation where a lot of the time you're at more of a disadvantage, and then when you get to a certain point, now you have the advantage. It's just difficult to get there. It's the same way, same way with a sword against a spear. It's incredibly hard to get past the damn point. Once you do, especially once you grab the spear, then it becomes easy mode. We tried it out in sparring, but I decided against including all of that footage because this video is already terribly long, and how much do you prove by testing something that you're not really familiar with? What I can say based on that is whoever of us used the reverse grip was at a disadvantage, but not as much as you might expect, especially considering that we haven't trained with it extensively. You would think if it's completely and utterly useless, we would be steamrolled each time, right? It wasn't the case. We did kind of get steamrolled at first. Both of us definitely took more hits than we landed, but as the sparring went on, the gap closed a little bit. We did have some success here and there in spite of improvising and trying to adapt our experience with conventional grip sword fighting to reverse grip, so it wasn't a total disaster. Anyway, I'm gonna make the whole sparring footage available as bonus content for Patreon supporters. Again, not to prove anything, but just as entertainment. Hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Uh-oh. Nice. Master Sword's back in full swing. Well, actually, I'm still gonna use this. Frickin' hell. Alright. Shit. Nice. I need to stop hoarding so much. I don't really need these. Would have been nice if I could sell them. Oh, it's just a minor test. This is gonna be a waste of time. I thought it was a modest. Hyper Gore. Please give me another battery. Of course not. Yes, Kelton will be very useful. Of course it's raining here. Oh, but since this is protected by the shade. Very nice. Right, first I want to get to... Kelton. Because rather than selling my monster pots for rupees, I could potentially at least want to know. What would be better? Otherwise, yeah, just sell it. Get some ancient gear. You know what? I think it might be worth. Should I go attack or defense buff? I'll go for attack. Wow, Lionels are a joke now. I just need to beat him up quickly. Literally, this is all that matters now. Oops, didn't mean to. Whatever. Yep, that was a lot of shield damage. I can't parry. The 2-frame window is way too tight. Ooh. Worth it though. I'll go release some of my flies and stuff. $9,000. Alright, that's good. It's the exact same durability as the Demon Carvers that the Yiga have and the Knight's Broadsword. No way! Why?
Today we're speedrunning SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, one of the most broken games I've ever played. We'll start our speedrun as soon as we create a new game, and right away there's just going to be a couple cutscenes to skip, like talking to Gary, we don't really care about that, and right away we're going to skip and take a taxi over to Patrick. For some reason the game just unlocks that for us, so we don't have to do the opening sequence of trying to collect shiny objects and getting a spatula in SpongeBob's house. Instead we're just going to come back later, and right now we're going to do Jellyfish Fields. Now right away we see Squidward, he's getting attacked by jellyfish, and he wants us to get some jellyfish ointment from the King Jellyfish farm. And we'll do that eventually, but for right now, we just got some general platforming. And like I said in the intro, this game is extremely broken, and the speedrun is even more broken. You might have seen my previous video speedrunning the original game, but this game is very different in terms of everything, like that movement I do right there, where I'm just barely able to use the
I need to hug the liner again.
Up there's an invisible wall right there, which I can walk on, stuff like that. And our first spatula is going to be right here. We're going to use the bungee jump to go right there, get the first spatula, and teleport back to Gary. This is because we don't want to watch the spatula sequence where we have to collect it and stuff.
Whatever.
Instead, we just want to get right back to the action. Right there, I'm going to do some more really weird movements so I can get that sock. After that, we got some more unintended platforming, and we're going to get this sock right over here. Now, how this game works is for every 10 socks we collect, we can get a spatula from Patrick. So we're going to collect them as we go through and get a total of 40 socks throughout the speedrun. But right now, we're also going to skip this gate by doing some more unintended platforming and go through the loading zone at the same time as picking up that spatula. Then we'll see Mermaid Man. We're not really going to talk to him. We can even hit him for good luck and be on our way to sliding. You gotta love the sliding in this game, how SpongeBob does. I bet the sand shape is great. And we're also going to pick up the as well as this sock right here. But you will notice we're not going to pick up the sock on the right. Instead, we want to open that box since we're going to come back later. And don't worry, we will get that sock later as well. But right now, we have our first really hard trick. Now, what I want to do is line myself up. I'm going to do a spin, jump, spin, and then if I do a slam in the perfect spot, I will just be able to make it up to the cliff.
What? Treats, no!
After that, we're going to teleport back to SpongeBob's house, and we can get the spatula here that we skipped earlier. Just go right through there and also get the shiny objects, which we already got just through playing. And now we can also teleport back to the bottom. Now right away we want to go over to Squidward's house, so I'm going to start my way over there. And we can get two things from here. First of all, we can get the spatula, which we have to jump, I think, like 5 or 10 times within his house. And we can also get a sock by destroying all of his furniture, destroying that poor painting and stuff. We're not really the nicest neighbors in
Let
the
me
world.
go sell
Sorry about that,
some stuff
Squidward,
actually
I gotta
first.
get the spatula. You should have just gave it to me, and we'll be on our way out. Now for here, we want to start going to the right immediately, jump on these tikis to get out of this tree, and do a fairly precise jump. It's not too bad. Get that extra piece of health right there, and finally make it to the top of the pineapple so we can get the 6th spatula. And now we're going to be heading on our way over to downtown, which since we already have 6 spatulas, we can enter. And right away, we're going to get our chance to see Mrs. Puff, who wants us to collect 11 of these steering wheels. So we will collect this one for actually multiple reasons.
Oh, it's a level 2.
Just get her regular spatula, but there's also an
Despawn now?
with these later, which I'll explain once we get there. But for now, what I'm also going to do is destroy
Interesting.
and hit the buttons. I can just jump up to them, use my bubble dash, and then slam down, and yeah, that hits all the buttons. That's before we get rid of that cannon. We're also going to set this explosion off to get a little bit more shiny objects before finally climbing up this statue and getting our 7th spatula. From here, we want to get a little bit more shiny objects, so what we can do is explode that guy on our way. These exploding tikis take a little while to explode unless you hit them directly, and also this guy's really annoying. I'm going to take him out because I'm a little low on underwear. But from here, what I'm going to do is some more wonky platforming, just barely making it on top of there. Then I want to go on top of this floating tiki and also barely be able to make it there to get that sock before making it all the way over here and getting our next wheel. We'll just grab that. From there, I can just start walking straight. I might as well destroy the cannon. I mean, why not? And we'll jump into here to start our next cutscene. We talked to Gary before then. We're going to teleport to the 2nd spatula. This is going to transform us into Sandy, and she has a very weird exploit where basically what we can do is lasso as we're flying something. If we do that, then we leave the platform, go back on. We can do this infinite height glitch. You'll be able to see it a bit more in a second. But first of all, what I want to do is open this box, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to jump right here. As I'm climbing up, press the lasso button, and you'll see now I'm flying forever. I can also gain height, and the way we do that is by getting off the platform and back onto it. You'll see I will never run out of my glide, and we can use that to go over here. When we do get hit by that guy, it will cause us to go up, but that doesn't matter because we need to go up anyways. And what we're going to do over here is just wait a second until I can finally touch this part of the map, and then I'm going to go over here until we hit a button. Now, you can't actually see the button. I'm pretty sure it's like a dev thing, so they can test out this minigame. But they left it in the final game, which means we can exploit it without wasting any shiny objects, go back through the box, and we got our 9th spatula. From there, we want to teleport and go to the spatula we just did. So that's going to bring us back to this box area, and I want to do the infinite glide again. I'm going to do the same thing as I always do, and we'll start on our way. There's a couple more things I want to collect before we get our next golden spatula, including this wheel and also this sock right here. Then I want to jump and actually use the momentum from this slide, that's going to allow us to go a bit faster. I also want to come over here, get hit by that pole so we start going downwards, and we can keep our speed until finally I jump, glide, lose a bit of my speed, but we already made it over here, and we can get our next spatula once we switch to SpongeBob. Then, of course, hit the button, which I just missed. That was a little embarrassing. But anyways, we'll make it over here into this building. Now we have one of these mini-game areas where what we have to do is destroy all the duplicated traps. And this is actually really easy because we always know exactly where they're going to be. I can destroy that one, come 2 of these lights away, and yeah, you pretty much just keep doing this. Like I said, we know exactly where they are, and we're going to destroy them before they have a chance to spawn any enemies. So yeah, it's really easy. Except for this one on the last floor, because there are actually going to be 2 of these. I also want to come over here, get some extra shiny objects from there before I destroy that duplicated Tron, and there's just a couple more enemies we gotta kill. Like this guy, he's an easy take out. And we can also take this wheel from right here before finally walking over to our golden spatula and doing the same trick as earlier, where we enter the loading zone at the same time as picking it up. Then after this, I want to come over to the left. We'll see there's going to be another sock that's conveniently over here, so we can grab that, transform into the sponge ball, and make our way over here, which we have just enough shiny objects to enter into this place. This is going to be the sea needle, and we want to complete the sea needle and not the intended way at all. Usually you're supposed to use SpongeBob and use bungee jumping to destroy a bunch of TVs, but instead we can use Sandy by just jumping down here and destroying them with our hands. So there are going to be 3 stacks of these guys, then I'm going to move over to the left, lasso for a while so I can make sure that those TVs also die, and we have to repeat this for a total of 3 times. Normally you would have to do this in different areas, but for some reason the game just lets you do the same one over and over again and you can keep dying. So that's another nice exploit where we can do this way faster. So this one's going to be the final time. I can take out those guys as well as that one too. And we'll get these last few, just lasso for a little bit, make sure that those things disappear before we die. And that's going to be all we've got to get that crap later. For now, I gotta get some more wheels and some more socks. So we're going to come over here, grab this corner to get that first wheel, and just do some more general platforming. Whenever your Sandy platforming is very easy because we have the lasso ability. So we don't have to worry about making too many mistakes. So we can kind of just hang out, wheel, get that wheel right over there. And we make this jump all the way over to that piece. Thankfully, it has a glitch that we can walk on before finally using this stock and making our way to a shiny object. What we can do right here is go on this thing and barely hit this button, picking up that golden spatula. And at the same time as this cutscene, this platform is going to move us forward, so that also saves us some more time. Finally, all we have to do is make it back to the beginning, where we're going to switch to SpongeBob, since technically Mr. Krabs was SpongeBob's mission.
I can get Stasis Plus now.
Spatula, we can take that right there, and that's going to be number 13. Now, before we enter the downtown, we still have a couple more wheels to get, so we're going to go to the second spatula. We're going to be Sandy again, and you can see the first wheel right there. I can grab that, go back onto this platform, and we're just going to do some basic platforming there. There's going to be the final wheel over there, so yeah, we'll just go and grab it. But you will notice, I actually don't go return these to Mrs. Puff yet, and you'll see why later. But for now, we head over to Jellyfish Fields, where we're actually going to stay as Sandy. Now, you're never supposed to be Sandy in this section, but for some reason, if we teleport as Sandy, it just kind of works. Also, of course, I'm trying to use the glitch again, but it wasn't exactly working in my favor, but I got it that time. And we can head down here, we're going to use the same trick as earlier, where we want to get some more speed, so we're not as slow while we're doing our infinite hover. And I want to head over into this direction, because we're basically going to beat this entire level way faster than intended. And that's by going by the outer way. We want to stay close to the wall though, because if we don't, a hand might come by and despawn us, make us lose all our speed. We don't really want that. So I'll make my way over here. Luckily, there's going to be a hole in this wall, which we can enter. We have to make it past an invincible wall first though. And yeah, you can see right down there, there's going to be our next golden spatula. So this is actually a really nice trick. I can now use the cave wall to make myself move downwards a little bit. Grab this golden spatula. That's going to be number 14. And finally, to end off Jellyfish Fields for now, I just have to make it to the end of this cave, so we get another save. SpongeBob will talk to Mr. Krabs here, and we're going to come back here later, but for now, it's time to go back to the bottom. Because it's finally time to face off against our first boss, Robo Sandy. You do have to talk to Bubble Buddy because he has a gigantic brain, but after that, we can talk to Patrick, get another sock from him, and get our 15th spatula, which is going to mean we have enough spatulas to go into the boss fight. And the boss fights are probably one of my favorite parts of this game, especially the speed strats you can do. You'll see right there, I actually wanted her to do her hit attack, and that's because we can cancel out another one of her attacks by making her do that one. So we're gonna repeat this 3 times where basically we try to get hit by her once, she starts walking towards us and does her slam attack, and we can slam against the
weapons
ground,
cost
making
4.
her get electrocuted. Then we're gonna switch to Patrick and basically do the same thing. But for Patrick, instead of just 1 swipe, we have to get her to do 2. Then
They all do.
attack, so we can go ahead and do a cannonball, take her head, and then we want to throw it at the side. But as I was saying, this is definitely one of my favorite parts of the game, just because of the fish that keeps coming up and commentating on our entire match. It's so amazing. I love this game so much. I'm so happy they decided to remake it. It turned out amazing. But finally, we just have one more of these cycles to do. I'll try not to get hit. If you do get hit, it's not the end of the world, but it does lose a little bit of time. So we'll just go right here, hit that one more time, and that means all we have to do is finish out with SpongeBob now. So we have to do the same thing.
I don't remember installing these.
It's kind of hard to dodge these swipes, but not the worst thing in the world.
I'm just not gonna buy them.
Do a slam and then also a bash into her head. So we'll do that another time. We'll get her to come over here, do a slam, and then do the bash, nice and easy. Then we repeat those things one more time, do one more slam into a bash, and that's going to be Spatula 16. But not only do we get another spatula, but we also get a new power. This power is called the Bubble Bowl, and you'll see it in Sandy's Tree Dome. We'll use it right there so we can hit that Duplicatatron. We'll hit that guy into his Duplicatatron. And the important thing for these sections of the game is we want to destroy the Duplicatatrons before we kill their enemies. Otherwise, they're just going to keep spawning them. So we did that pretty efficiently, and now we can do
I think it's way more useful to have Stasis Plus.
Screen, which allows us to move during the loading screen. So you saw me use that so that I can get the spatula during the loading screen, saving some time. After that, we're just going to take that sock from there and enter the Merman layer. But before we head to the Merman layer, we have to hit the TV, also grab that sock, and we can talk to Mermaid Man, finally making it into here. And this is a really cool part of the game, but also probably one
I'll
of
need
the
another
most
teleporter
stressful,
though.
because there are a few hard tricks we're going to have to do. But to start
So
out,
as well
it's
make
just
our way
pretty
to Gilton
easy stuff.
first.
We have to walk past these people, do a jump so we can get that checkpoint, and then we'll spawn back. We see this cowboy guy who wants to fight us. We're just going to ignore him though. And instead, we're going to skip this entire section by just jumping here, which is really funny. And we're also going to do this trick again where we bubble bowl into the checkpoint, then go backwards. We'll hear a popping sound, and that's when we got the spatula. After this, we get to talk to our boy Squidward. He's always great to talk to.
Dang
Then
it.
we'll bubble bowl this so we can start moving over and do another pretty hard trick. What we have to do is land on top of this plane, because for some reason, there's no bird box right to the top. And then we're just going to wait it out a bit so we don't hit any wrong collision before finally we move forward, get hit, and then are able to do a bash to just barely get that stop. We'll also hit that button right there before switching to Patrick and doing a Mermaid Man mission. So Mermaid Man wants us to use this watermelon to hit a bunch of buttons. So what we have to do for this first one to do it fast is walk on this, and I kind of messed that up. Yeah, this one is very finicky with getting hit by these red lights, and you can also pretty much stand on air, which is kind of funny, but yeah, second try, I'll take it. After this, we go straight over to this one, which is even more annoying, because these cannon shots, you have like no time to react to them, so I just have to hope I don't get hit. I barely didn't, and then watermelon. Okay, that was also really wonky, but there we go, we're just gonna head down. And finally, we got this last button, which is the easiest one of them. I just throw the watermelon once over there, then throw it again. Finally, we can come over, hit this button, and that's gonna be all 3 done. So if you
Royal
talk to Mermaid
Claymore.
Man, he's gonna be pretty happy, and we'll get another go with the spatula. But that wasn't the hard trick we have to do, because we're gonna have to
Yo,
do
not the
one
Liga
more
Blade
now.
Master.
We're gonna come back to this area, and you'll see this SpongeBob. Now what we want to do is just barely hit this checkpoint, so then we'll spawn back at it. Then we come over to this guy, we're going to jump on top of one of his robots, and when the robot jumps, we're able to jump off that and make it up here. So obviously the game doesn't want you to do this, and the game also doesn't want you to do what I'm about to do now. So we're going to go down this slide, and once we get over here, we'll wait a second, jump in just the right time, and barely take over this slide. Then if we just hold forward, you'll see that Patrick can actually run on the slide, and we can make it all the way to the end, nice and easy. And now we have this one. If you ever played this puzzle as a kid, it was probably really frustrating for you. I know it was frustrating for me, but it actually has a really easy solution. All you have to do is hit every single one of the buttons once. It's actually really funny. It's that simple. And we can talk to Barnacle Boy, get his spatula, hit this button as well before making this slide. We can just barely make this jump over to here, and yeah, we're doing well. Now we want to head over to this checkpoint, which is going to switch us back to SpongeBob, and it's time for some more hard platforming. First of all, I want to take care of that guy, and I'm actually going to switch to my keyboard and mouse right here, because on the keyboard and mouse, you have a button that sneaks for you. When you're playing controller, you have to very slightly tilt your control stick, but yeah, I was able to use the keyboard keyboard and mouse to make that movement much easier before switching back to the controller, doing some more cool movement, and now all we have to do is line up this shot and go back and get that spatula, just like all the times you've seen before. And this is going to put us into the ballroom, which if you've ever played this game, you know that the ballroom is really slow and also not that fun. But we have a cool way of doing it. I'm just gonna hope I can actually get it because it's kind of finicky. Usually I give myself 3 tries to get this trick, but we're gonna line ourselves up right over here. And then what I can do is actually pause the game and pause buffer, but I messed that up a little bit, and yeah, you'll see it didn't work. So that's 1 try out of 3. Let's hope I don't have to reset this run. Okay, as I was saying, we'll pause buffer a little bit until we're right at that point. We can then do a bubble bash, and I think this one should work, but no, it didn't. Okay, this game is really annoying. Normally, you could fix this, but for some reason, the game, even though the ball is at a normal place, the game just gets rid of it. So that's a little annoying, but 3rd time's the try. I will pause buffer right here. We'll do a bash right there, and that has to be perfect, please. And it goes right into the hole. Okay, that's what we needed. So yeah, we did this thing, even though it took 3 tries much faster than it would normally take. We can now hit that button, and we got another golden spatula. Or at least we will get it. Before we do that, though, I want to get another sock, die really quick, and then we can grab this straight from Mr. Krabs. Yeah, that wasn't my best ballroom ever, but I'm going to take it. 3rd try isn't that bad. And now we're going to exit the ballroom just like normal. This is going to put us at the Marble Air computer. We're going to hit that button, which is going to make 4 out of 4 buttons, and that's going to make the computer really happy. Get control of the security and all that. So she's going to give us a spatula, and we're going to be able to hit another button, which allows us to do the prawn boss fight. So we're going to head over to here. Once we make it a little far, we can then enter the area. And this boss fight is interesting. It's not really that difficult. What we have to do is jump over this attack twice. Then what Prawn is going to do is he's going to randomize which places we can stand on. So we want to go to the blue ones and attack him with our bubble ball. We're going to have to do the exact same thing again, but this time we have to jump over it 3 times. He randomizes the place. I just guess which one will work. We'll pick that one, and there we go. That's 2 hits. Which means there's only 1 more hit. We'll jump over this one 4 times. It looks like we go over here. We can finish him off, and we get another spatula, which that's going to make 25. And now let's go back to the bottom. By the way, to complete this game, we need to get at least 75 spatulas to enter the final boss fight. But for now, let's go to Goo Lagoon. And Goo Lagoon is probably one of my favorite parts of this game. I just really like it. I love the environment. I love the it's a fun one to be at. What we're going to do, as you saw right over there, so we're just going to go on the board, we're going to go down there, and come over here, we're going to see Mrs. Puff. Now, Mrs. Puff is a terrible teacher, and a bunch of her students are now trapped on, like, balloons. I don't really get it, but you'll see, like, that kid, he is trapped right now, and he's just flying forever. And we could save these kids, but we're not doing it. But instead, we're going to do the next one. So we'll get to that later. For now, we're just trying to make it to the end of the map. We'll just walk over here. There's going to be dragons, which are getting fire. I don't know how these things are made. Are they, like, inflatable? But I don't have time to worry about that. What we want to do here is barely be able to make it up here. On that hill, and we'll be able to get another shot when we're talking to everybody. Not really everybody has to say, to be honest. And going to that's what we're going to this area with water, or I guess
oh my god.
Starting to fill up. But we're not going to worry about it because we can do this movement over here, which puts us directly by this next checkpoint. Now we want to take that checkpoint, and now we're going to do some weird bubble physics. Jump on the bubble, and okay, that is exactly what I wanted to happen. Alright, as I was saying, we want to use the bubble physics to get a slightly higher jump. I don't know why that happened. But anyways, now come up here, get another sock, and line up for a really specific shot. What we're going to do is line up SpongeBob on one of the lamps, and aim for that pink lamp and a button over there. I missed it the first time, but we'll try again. Okay, I will aim this, and I always check because I'm not the best at this shot, and it looks like we didn't hit it again. Alright, like usual, 3rd time to try, we'll aim right there. And the shot isn't actually that bad, it's just very specific. And we got it right there because we saw the button on 3. Now we can pick up this spatula, which is going to be 26, before heading down over here. This is why we hit the button, so we can make this spatula appear, and we can go take it nice and easy. Then after that, all we have to do is get hit by the water twice, or I guess 3 times. That's going to cause SpongeBob to die, and we're going to spawn right over here back at the checkpoint, which means we have to do this bubble bowl thing again. Hopefully I won't go through the wall. That was kind of annoying, but there we go. That's going to be the bubble bowl, and this time we're going to be heading over to the left. I will also destroy these TVs, get some more shiny objects, and once we make it into the cave, we get to see Gary just kind of hanging out. Now, I have to do some fairly precise platforming here, which I just messed up. Okay, we'll actually go on this one, and hopefully hit it this time. We just please SpongeBob. Okay, is this really that hard? There we go, easy. After that, I want to grab this sock right here, and go on top of this thing. Then we have to jump while the water has has really wonky physics, so sometimes he doesn't let you get a good jump out. I'll try to not let that happen again, thankfully he didn't lose too much time, but yeah, that's what I wanted to happen. Now we can just get through all these robots just like normal. We'll destroy a couple of these TVs so we can get some more shiny objects before we jump down here, get onto that wooden plank, and also jump over here. Then we want to get one of Patrick's socks, so we'll jump over there and make sure we don't die here, because if we die, it'll send us back pretty far. After this, we just have a little bit more movement to do. We have some pretty precise jumps just straight over here, and there we go, that was perfect. Now we can hit that button and exit the caves. But of course, we still have one more spatula to get before we exit the caves, so we'll just take this one right here. Which means at this point, we're almost done with the lagoon. All we have to do is go to the last section. Now from here, what we want to do is exploit the boxes. Basically, how the boxes work is you have to open both of them to go through either of them. So what we're going to do right here is just barely be able to open that box. You can hear the sound effect came off, and since we were able to barely open that box, that means we can go through the one at the beginning of the level. So I can just hop right through. Then after that, what we want to do is clear out these bumper boats, except I'm kind of bad at it. Yeah, the movement on this icy arena place is kind of weird, so whatever, we got the bumper boats cleared. And from here, it's time for some more weird movement. Well, not before we just do some regular platforming. Like picking up here to get that 13th stock. Then we want to do a jump over to this slide, and we're actually going on the slide backwards. And what we want to do here is jump all the way down here to this spatula. Normally, you would have to use Patrick, and he can use those ice blocks to freeze you, but we can make it over there with SpongeBob before dying, respawning over here, and now it's time to cheat the game again. Normally here, you would have to pay for a clam and pay 2,200 shiny objects, but instead, we can abuse the physics of this game and just make it over there by doing some regular platforming. Now finally, what we want to do is spawn back on the final spatula of this round and go through this box. And since we already cleared out the bumper boats, we can go straight over to Mr. Krabs and get his golden spatula. Then from here, it's time to head back to downtown to talk to this pump. You'll remember that earlier in the game, we finished the Wheels mission, and we can grab this spatula now. But that's not all we're going to do. We're also now going to teleport back to the lagoon over to Mrs. Pump. Now because we came straight from a place where we actually had completed the mission, the game thinks we also completed this mission. Mrs. Pump's like, thank you for saving those kids, even though they're still floating right by her. So yeah, that's what we do. And from here, now it's time to head back to Jellyfish Fields, and we got some more missions. This first one normally we want to be Patrick, and he can throw people into these caves. But instead, we can just use our bumper boats. Since we're not supposed to have this power up yet, we can finish the entirety of Jellyfish Fields before we move on and get that power. And for this final one, what I want to do is position myself right here, so I can use the golden spatula while this cutscene goes up. And finally, then we can teleport over to the top of the game position. And now that we're over here, it's time for a little bit of grinding. What we can do is jump on these TVs to a slam, and we just barely make it out of this clip. Then after that, we want to destroy that exploding TV and come over here so we can reset our spawn point. And after this, all we have to do is jump into the cube, do a little twirl, and get hit in there down. After that, it's going to teleport us right over here, and we can get some more of these exploding TVs, and pretty much we're just going to repeat this thing over and over. In total, we want at least 8,600 shiny objects, so yeah, we'll be here for a little bit.
Why the hell can't I headshot?
If you've been enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe, I really appreciate it, and help us channel. But alright, finally, after a bit of grinding, we're back in here. I will open up that gate, which only costs 100 shiny objects, and you'll see we have much more than 8,600 shiny objects. But from here, I want to do some platforming over here, and we're basically just not going to play this game as intended at all.
What the fuck?
We'll just do some spaced out jumps, get that sock right there, then go on top of this clip, and from here, we're also going to do another jump. Instead of taking this regular platform, we're going to jump from here, make it to this pair of underwear, and use SpongeBob to move over here. Thankfully, they actually bumped this move in this game compared to the original, and made it a bit faster. And finally, we just head over here, get this golden spatula, and also get this guy who's kind of ruined the shot. Come on, dude, I'm trying to celebrate. So there we go. That's all for there, and now it's time to fight King Jellyfish. So we're going to talk to Bubble Bunny, gotta love that guy, and now we're going to go into some pretty precise jumps so we can make it to King Jellyfish faster. I can jump right here, or into the back ramp. And to defeat King Jellyfish, we have to slap him 3 times. So I have to wait until the protective shield goes down and hit him. And then he's going to get his protective shield back up and spawn a bunch of other jellyfish. So yeah, there's not really too much to do during this boss fight. We kind of just have to wait for him to do another slam before we can hit him again. So we'll wait a second, he'll do another one right there. I can jump over it, and that's going to be number 2. This time we'll spawn.
I am literally hitting him straight in the face.
But it's still not really a problem, as long as I'm just making sure I don't.
I am as accurate as I possibly can be there.
Jump right into But before that, we have this little slide we have to do. So we're going to jump down here and also get some tiki. Then from here, we don't want to go around the long way. So instead, I can just jump from here, grab this side, and make sure that this part is a little bit faster. Finally, at the end of the slide, we have to make 2 jumps right here. So we get this spatula, and that's going to be number 36. Then we can teleport back to the beginning of the level, pop the Squidward, and also get this spatula. So that makes 37. And yeah, that was pretty good. Now it's time to get to a pretty hard part of the game. First of all, we have a fairly precise trick to do to get onto the top of Shady Shoals. What I have to do is jump from here to another jump, and we didn't get the height we needed. Yeah, this trick is a little precise, and it doesn't want to work for me right now. Okay, come on game, that's the jump we needed, and there we go, we make it on top of here. Now there's some even more difficult platforming, because the collision of this window is just so weird in how to get on top of it. I'm just gonna keep trying to spin my way up there, but it might take a second. Come on, SpongeBob, I believe in you. There you go, we get that one right there. And finally, we can get to the top of Shady Shoals and get another spatula. Then from there, we have one of the strangest tricks in the game, and honestly, it's big nerves. So what we want to do is pop the Bubble Buddy at the same time as using our Bubble Ball. I actually use my keyboard and mouse for this because it's a little more precise. But there we go, that's what we wanted. You'll see that SpongeBob is now stuck in this, and then we can use the ball, which makes him do this. It's actually hilarious. And we'll get him stuck in this little crevice before pressing A twice. Now immediately this is going to spawn us in. We can jump, twirl, and do another jump to make it onto here, and do another jump up into here. We want to make sure that we don't get captured by the hand at all. Otherwise, this trick won't work. But finally, we can get over here, and that will skip to the last part of the game without having to fight for a capture. Then we can do another one of these bubble jumps, make it on top of the Krusty Krab, and go onto this clam where we'll get another piece of underwear before going to the E on the chum bucket. We kind of missed it though. That's fine though, we can just restart it really quick. A little bit of a time loss, but not the worst one. Just please make it there, SpongeBob. I appreciate it. We can go on top of the T, then the F, before finally making it to the top of the chum bucket and grabbing that spatula. Then from there, it's time to go to SpongeBob 3, which is also a really hard part of the game. So we'll swap into here, talk to Gary really fast, also grow a mustache for a second, and then we want to make this platforming, which just barely make it over there, and then do a jump into a bash, and then hit the stop, and that's going to make it so we can get that spatula without having to use a rolling ball. After this, we have this enemy, who's kind of annoying, I'm not going to lie, so we're going to make sure we can dodge his attack before going out here. We have to do a very precise jump onto this trampoline, just barely make it on top of there, wait this out a second so we can get onto that trampoline, and finally go over to Squidward's house, which lets us get here without spending any shiny objects. And from there, it's time to do Squidward's dream. We'll talk to Mr. Krabs at first, who tells us to cover our ears because, you know, we're in Squidward's dream and he's playing music. And I kind of love this place. Look at all the paintings of Squidward. There is so much love that went into this game. But what we want to do right there is some walking movements so we can just barely be able to use that super jump, make it onto here, and then we can grab this sock by doing a bash there. Then after that, we want to wait a second, do a jump into a slam, and we can barely make it onto this trampoline as well, before then making it over here. And yeah, we're pretty much just doing this stage a little bit faster than usual. This is definitely one of the hardest platforming sections of this game, just because if you mess up, it can ruin a lot of stuff. But we're doing a pretty good job so far. I will now wait out this note, because we don't want to step on it too soon. Otherwise, it's going to collapse, just not let us go past, so I don't want to step on the yellow notes for too long. Then we can go across these blue notes, which keep moving. They're kind of annoying until we make it onto the drum. And finally, we just have to go a little bit further, and I'll be done with this part. There we go, onto that instrument, and we can finally finish out Squidward's dream. So now we're going to exit it by going onto here into the box, and just exiting the dream normal. This is going to put us at this clam, which we can spend 1,000 shiny objects to go on top of here, and we just use a platform. Thankfully for these platforms, they're not random. We know exactly where they will go every single time. So like for these spiky ones, I don't even have to hesitate. We can just go straight through before making it to Patrick's wrap. And Patrick's smoking spatula is very easy because it's literally just nothing. We're going to line up right here and do this trick again where we want to bump forward into the loading area. And finally, there's going to be one more spatula right at the end of the level, so we can take this one. Now before we exit the dream, we want to go over to Sandy's dream. So for this one, we see Larry right away. He's just being a Chad, just like usual. And what we want to do is
I can't believe he'll accept the picture if someone's back.
Then go up here. And thankfully, this platform is the exact same height as the other one, so we don't have to do the thing where we exit the platform and go back on. Instead, we can go straight on the slide, make it over to this acorn, and we'll respawn on the spatula. Then we want to do the trick one more time. I do double jump there, kind of miss the ledge grab. Please, Sandy. Alright, get that. We can go into that motion, and this
All
is
right.
a little awkward, but it works out. Now, all we have to do is go onto this slide so we can get some more
I can
speed,
actually
but
teleport to
before I
Hateno
wait this
now.
out, I want to go forward right there,
And get
we'll
the
start moving
upgrade.
in this direction. We definitely need the slide momentum here because this takes a very long time, but luckily there are no hands that are trying to stop us. And you might be wondering how we're going to get down fast, and how we do that is by doing the lasso, which gives us some downward momentum, and we can go down into this oil spot. And we have a very quick way of taking out a lot of these enemies. What we want to do is use this exploding tiki. That's going to destroy a lot of those guys, and there's only going to be these two guys left. Also, that dude with the tartar sauce is kind of annoying. You see how he's celebrating on hitting me? I know my feelings, I'm not going to lie. But that's all those guys taken care of, and our next bonus spatula. So we can just go right over here and miss it because I'm bad. But there we go, we got it. That's number 46. And that's going to be everything in Dream. Now it's time to go back to Bikini Bottom over to the spatula. From here, we're going to talk to Mr. Krabs right away because we need to buy a single spatula from him. Thank you, I appreciate that, man. Before heading on our way over to Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom is a really cool spot with some awesome tricks. It's also very nostalgic. I've watched SpongeBob since I was a very little kid, so I just absolutely love this game. But anyways, we're just going to jump through here. Normally, you would have to sneak, but we actually don't have to. We just keep jumping, which is kind of funny. We'll then make it over here, where we just have to jump on these platforms. You can also sneak to make sure they don't collapse, but that takes way too much time. So instead, we'll just keep jumping. And there we go. Talk to our boy Bubble Buddy, who is literally everywhere. Like, they love Bubble Buddy, but I guess I love Bubble Buddy too. And now we have a pretty difficult trick where we're going to use the ball power-up. So what we can do is get hit right off there, do a jump, and then we're going to do a really big jump to be able to make it over to the spatula, just barely with SpongeBob's power. And from there, we can now teleport back to the third spatula. And we're going to do a pretty similar thing. We want to get this power up again, be able to make it up there, and I messed up, okay? Like a lot of things in this game, this trick is really finicky and not the most consistent. I did save it right there because it didn't work again, but there we go. SpongeBob made it up there. We can do a very big jump all the way over to this ledge, stop ourselves for a second, and finally do one more jump so we can move the wrong way on the slide before taking it over to the craft. Then I want to line myself up with this dot. I make sure the left area of SpongeBob's body is right around that point, and then we also have to have the perfect angles, so I kind of just have to keep testing out angles until finally we get a super jump right there, and we can make it straight over to the end of this level. From here, we can immediately take a spatula, making that 49. And now we're going to teleport back to the spatula we just started. This is going to put us right by Gary. Always love to see that guy. And now it's time to switch over to Sandy. Now from here, we want to make it over to that Duplicator-Tron right by the sock. We will, of course, grab that sock and then do a lasso over to here. And then we're going to keep pressing our lasso button and jumping off of it so we can gain more height. Finally, once we get to the top of the height, we'll be able to lasso again and just barely be able to make it over to the spatula. And now it's time to teleport back to the third spatula. And who would have guessed, time to use the ball power up again. But we are almost done with it. But for this one, we want to come down here and grab that sock right there before jumping all the way over here and grab another. From here, it's time to use some more box shenanigans to complete the mission really quickly. We'll jump inside this box, and earlier we actually opened this box so we can go straight through. Hit that button and come back before finally picking up the spatula right here. And now for the final time, we're teleporting back to the spatula. We're just going to grab the ball power up right there, and from here what we want to do is jump into this wall, and we can slowly climb it for some reason, which is kind of really funny, before switching over to Sandy. Then we want to grab the spatula at the end of the level and go into the loading zone so we can enter the museum. Right away, we'll see Barnacle Boy. We can talk him real quickly. But instead of worrying about him, we got to get rid of all these security methods. And to do that, I have to hit 4 of these different buttons on the wall. Each time we destroy one of them, one of those robots that are electrifying these places gets destroyed. So yeah, we're going to just go through and destroy them all. And also, I really love the paintings and all the detail they put into this place. There's so much detail gone into it. Like when we come up here, you'll see that they actually have Golden Brash on the right. We won't be able to look at it too much, but I love Golden Brash. Then from here, we can head over to this place, and we can actually go through these lasers because for some reason they don't have a hitbox, which is kind of funny, before finally grabbing this sock and making it to the spatula at the end of the museum. Just gotta slowly
He's selling the usual stuff again now.
Sandy, there you go. Well, before we end off this level, we have to do this pump trick again.
Whatever happened to being able to buy the red stuff?
And teleport back to Rock Bottom. There we go. Mrs. Puff will give us our reward, even though we did nothing. That's what she gets for failing SpongeBob. Then after that, it's time to teleport back to
Okay,
Bikini Bottom.
then.
This time we're going by the Chum Bucket though, because it's time to go over to Kelp Forest, which is probably the most broken area in this entire game. And immediately you're gonna see how broken this place is, because we're going over to the left. And what we can do is some weird platforming up to here, and we can keep this entire world by going backwards. What happens here is basically to start the level, we have to talk to Mermaid Man, so it's going to put us at the beginning of this part, and then we can open that box, go back to the bottom, and go through the box like normal. After that, we want to switch to Patrick and back to SpongeBob, because the game actually tries to prevent you from using the box cheats. But if we switch between the characters, it's not able to, and we can do it like normal. So there we go. I completed the challenge in literally 0 seconds, and we can grab the spatula. Before finally going back through this box, Mermaid Man is going to be like, kinda looks like he cheated, but he still gives us the spatula anyways. And the brokenness of this level isn't even done yet, because we still have this spatula, since we're still going through the level backwards. And then from there, we can pause the game and go over to the beginning of the spatula, and yeah, you can see what's going on here. So yeah, I'll just go over here, go backwards, so we can go through another loading zone, and hey look, there's another spatula, nice and easy. Gotta love how that one tiny exploit just completely takes advantage of this entire level. Now from here, we're gonna do this one puzzle where normally you want to be Patrick, and like I said before, you can use those ice blocks to turn the cube into ice when you are Patrick. But instead, we're just gonna be SpongeBob, because it'll be a bit faster. You can go through here, open this box, and go straight through there. Then we're gonna go over to the right, and just with some fairly low-stakes jumps, we can make it over to the spatula right over here, and that's gonna be number 59. So now it's time to switch over to the third spatula, and yeah, we're pretty much just doing what we already did, just taking the level completely backwards. And yet again, there's going to be another completely free spatula right for the taking. Now finally, to finish out Kelp Forest, it's time to do the Mrs. Puff thing again. But this time we actually have to do a little bit more movement than general, because we have to make our way over to Mrs. Puff, but on the way there are the food stocks we can get. The first one, we can jump on this branch, and then that branch, we just barely be able to make it onto these jumping weeds and get the socks up here. Then we're gonna go, you'll see that there are all these stickies which we have to hit with one of our bubble bowls. If we hit them all in a row, that's gonna spawn another sock. And finally, we can head over to Mrs. Puff. She lost a bunch of campers and wanted us to save them, but we didn't, so they're probably dead. But that's also not my problem, because now it's time to go back to Bikini Bottom and to Sand Mountain. So like usual, we'll come to this place, take the ball power up so it can be a bit faster, and go into Sand Mountain. And from here, we get to see our boy Squidward. Of course, SpongeBob has to borrow his toothbrush, you know, just normal stuff. We'll be able to do some platforming to make it to this clam and pay for it, and that was not supposed to happen. Okay, so I didn't wait long enough for the hook to come down, even though I thought I did, so that's gonna lose a little bit of time. Not too much time,
Wow,
but
what the
yeah,
hell
that
is
was a
this?
little annoying.
I've never been here
now
before.
take that spatula and teleport back to it, which is gonna put us up here right by Plankton, but we're gonna ignore Plankton and come over here. Basically, this roof is going to make you slide off, but if we hit it at just the right angle, then we can walk on it. So I'm gonna try to go for this angle, and there we go, that was perfect.
Royal.
And from there, we're gonna head down, and we gotta get some more stocks. Now right here, if we destroy the snowman, we get a sock. But also, if we collect the sock in the cutscene, and then afterwards skip it, it gives us 2 socks. So yeah, I'm not really sure why that works, but it doesn't matter. It's time to do this challenge. The sliding section in under 70 seconds, and I mean, it's a speed run, so you already know we're gonna be able to do it. But on the way, there's also 2 more stocks that we get. That's what the first one. And we also want to get some more shiny objects, since we're gonna need them for the game. So I'm gonna go out of my way a tiny bit to get some shiny objects, but not too much. I can also do this jump right over, just barely be able to make it over to the sock and skip some of that. I'll also damage boost into these tikis as well to get some more shiny objects, because we are a little bit low, but we should be fine by the time we have to use them. Oh, and by the way, I said 2 socks on this ramp. It's actually 3. That's going to be our third one. And now we can make it to the exit, which would beat Mrs. Puff's time really easily. But before we make it back to Mrs. Puff, we also want to destroy these Duplicatrons and also hit the button behind them. Thankfully, we can do it at the same time, open that gate up, and now make it over here, where there's going to be another golden spatula. There's also those kids kind of ruining the shot. Why you gotta do that, guys? And now we're gonna go back to the box, talk to Mrs. Puff. It's gonna be like, wow, you actually passed for once in your life. And she's gonna give us the spatula, which means we're now on to the final section of the game, Flying Dutchman Greg. So we'll teleport back into this section, use our ball power up just like usual, and make it over into this section where we can hang out with the
There you are. I was looking for one of you.
It's a pretty scary part. It has some kind of scary tricks, but hopefully I will be able to do them and we can finish out the speed run with good time. Now first of all, what we want to do is infuse the physics. So what we're going to do is really important. Instead, step on this button, you mash into the slam, and we can make it get onto that ledge like we've done before. Then we're going to come over here. Bubble power up, but because we skipped Robo Patrick, well, so instead what we're going to do is line ourselves up right here, do a fully charged bubble bowl, and we'll just be able to hit that button to close off the goo. And that means we can come down here onto the ship and get another golden spatula. That shot is also a lot easier than it might look like, but at least it looks cool. And now from there, we're going to head over to the third spatula. From here, we want to head to the left a little bit, do a fairly precise jump, not too hard of one, and make it onto this container. We're just going to keep jumping because otherwise it might be a little bit slower. And these enemies are also really annoying because they can hit you and knock you off, wasting a ton of time. So I'm going to play this fairly safe. I'm going to do 2 of my bubble bowls into this guy and also kill these guys around here. Now basically in this game, there's a platform that you can spawn by solving a puzzle. But the thing is, the platform is always there. So you'll see we basically slid on nothing, but that's because the platform was still there even though we couldn't see it. So yeah, instead of solving the puzzle, we can just exploit the game and yeah, make it on to the next area. This is where we're going to see our boy Squidward again, but we're going to ignore him and do this kind of precise jump. We're going to jump into there and yes, I said, okay, as I was saying, we're going to do a kind of precise jump and just make it that time. And from there, we're going to be our 30th sock, which is going to be an additional 3 spatulas from Patrick. After this, we can do some more platforming on here, and we want to exploit the checkpoints. What we can do is grab that checkpoint right there and then load the game. That's going to spawn us up here, which saves us a bit of time. From here, we're also going to do some more jumps, just make our way over here. And yeah, not too much to say about this section. Not really any way to speed it up. We're just trying to go fast. I'm just thinking that this wall jump power-up is much faster, because otherwise it would take too much time. And from here, I do notice I'm a little low on shiny objects. Yeah, I'm literally missing 6. Okay, that's a little annoying, but we can get them from this guy. But after we get 2,700, we can open up that clam, get another one of these bungee jumps, and grab our 68 golden spatula before teleporting back to that spatula. From here, we'll spawn over here. We want to do 2 kind of well-spaced jumps, maybe here right away. Jump across these platforms, and I will jump onto this wheel. And thankfully, a bunch of this stuff has collision for some reason, so we can make it on this side without having to do the normal solution before doing another one of these tricks where we bubble bowl into the loading zone and grab the spatula. Now we'll see our boy Mr. Krabs, who's kind of just hanging out. Unfortunately, you do have to talk to him because his talking radius is really big. And from here, we're really going to exploit this part. First of all, we'll take care of that guy and bubble bowl into that button. Then we'll do 2 jumps and a spin to just barely make it up here, grab our second button, and do another one of these bubble bowls where this ball will give us insane height. Then from here, that's going to be the 3rd button, and we have to do one of these really precise bubble bowls. This is probably the hardest one in the entire game for me because it is just so precise and you have to get a ton of height from it. Okay, SpongeBob, just do this for me, and that is just barely enough height to make it up there. So honestly, not the worst time I've ever had. And now we can make it back down here where we can hit the 4th button. That's going to prepare all the cannons. But we're not too worried about it since we'll just take another spatula. Then we're teleporting back to Bikini Bottom because it's time to return the socks to Patrick and get his golden spatulas. Now you don't have to pick these up one by one. Instead, we can just stack them all on top of each other and take them at the same time. So to finish out this run, we have to teleport over to the chump bucket. But you might be saying, wait, didn't you say you need 75 golden spatulas to fight the final boss? And that's true, but actually there's the final golden spatula right in the chump bucket. We can just take it right over there and finally go into our final boss fight. And this one is going to be against Robo SpongeBob. Now from here, what we want to do is step behind this trampoline. Basically, if we're over here, we can't get hit by any of Plankton's attacks. He can try to attack us and just keep failing, which is kind of funny. But yeah, he'll just kind of stare at us for a while as we completely destroy his greatest work. But we're almost done with him. That is going to be number 6. We just have 3 more of these buttons we have to hit. We'll get the one on his hand. Now we'll get one on the left part of his forehead. And finally, we have the one on his side. These ones are kind of precise to get, but that's going to be another spatula. And we make it to the true final boss fight where we go inside of Robo SpongeBob. Now we have a really scuffed way of beating this, and yeah, it's going to be weird. So first of all, we'll take out the Duplicatron. This guy does not want to fall off. That was kind of annoying. But we're going to destroy this light right here. Now we'll spawn a bounce pad for us to normally play the game, but instead we're going to exploit it by doing a jump all the way down here. You will also notice my camera is being a little bit weird right now. For some reason that happens when you're trying this. Don't worry, it will go away in a little bit, but for now it's kind of just annoying. Anyways, I'm going to jump down to this platform so we can't get hit by anything, and then use my cruise bubble and also not hit that. Oh, by the way, you might be wondering why I have the cruise bubble right now. Basically, even if we never unlocked it in the regular game, the game gives it to you for the final boss. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And now we can jump on this trampoline. It's going to take us all the way up we want to do for this part is hit Plankton right there, do one of our cruise bubbles, and have to go through. These are kind of precise, not the hardest things in the world, but we have to go in there. We'll jump on this trampoline after that, and okay, that was a little bit weird. But for this one, we actually want to fall off at the same time as using our cruise bubble, so we don't have to do a Plankton, except I messed it up. Alright, that was a little embarrassing. Anyways, like I was saying, we're going to fall off at the same time as the cruise bubble, so we don't have to do a Plankton trying to shoot us, and we can go hit that first strat. Then we'll respawn right back at this point. We can take this trampoline and just do a couple jumps over. There's going to be another one of these Planktons right here, but this time I actually do want to hit him, so he won't hit me. And we can go hit this one. It's a fairly easy one. You just kind of have to aim. And finally, we just have one more jump to do all the way down to this light. We can dash into it. That's going to make 77 spatulas in a time of 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 38 seconds, which is going to put us at 53rd place on speedrun.com. So I'll take it. Alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.
Yeah. Hi. Oh.
Huh.
Oh.
That group has been dodging the consequences for centuries. Is it any way? Right. Cherry, what do you know? Given my cool, I pretend that not here is slip up with you on the conversation. Indeed. Shit. I might go get some information out there after my cards, alright. Well, honestly, I really didn't want to do any work right now. Here's the problem. The London witch recently has gone missing. Sources say she was relatively young, too. She disappeared last week after nouncing in this very town. It's been troublesome narrowing down a place, however. There is a chance Cherry Pie could have had something to do with it. Ironic. The true fruit witches involved on the opposite sides of potentially deadly crime. I have no idea how to get to the endings. I usually try to do the bad ending first. But we'll see. Do kids come here often? Let's be unsubtle. Kids, where did this come from? I just figured based on the place's cutesy appearance, I would attract more kids. I think you will know by now who is coming here based on the amount of time you spend here, no? To tell the truth, the only kid I see frequently enough to call regular here would be my little sister. I see. They know you had a sister. Oh, a little Lottie. She's grown up awfully fast. That I'll say for certain. I have to introduce you to. She would love you. I'd love to meet the little lady. What school is your sister in? Oh, she got accepted into the lottery for Incantation Academy. Not too long ago. Really now? Yeah, that's funny. I live right by that school. Really? Well then, maybe I should visit you before picking her up someday. I like that quite a lot, actually. Let me go to that school. There's too many coincidences. Dang it, doing too good of a job. We need to do a bad job to get a bad ending. Have you seen anything suspicious? Say, have you seen anything suspicious around this area? Everything seems safe. Goodness me, are you worried about me? Maybe I am. Well, now that you mention it, some people I used to see come by haven't been coming as much anymore. Probably I think's missing their daily cupcakes concerning. And maybe I'm just overthinking it. Oh, do you have any names for anyone you're concerned about? Not off the top of my head, no. But I'm sure it's just me being silly. No need to worry about that. Damn it. And what I do or say is just bring me back into a corner again. Is something wrong, Sugar Pie? No, don't worry about it, Joe. These boxes are bags so we can take this out. Yeah, but you're leaving already? You didn't even take a bite. Sorry, Cherry, I just got a lot on my mind right now, and I don't feel like eating children. I'll see you again soon, though. Cherry packed away my pie slice, and of course a smile. I felt bad, but there's no way I can keep a normal conversation right now. My mind is too hard at work. Will do. See you later, Cherry. Yeah, they were just now, wasn't she? It's probably just my anger paranoia. Anyone else thinks? Any broken customers lately? Oh, darling, you wouldn't believe it. Still just don't know how to be polite. Give day my little sis brought in one of her school friends. Little sister. Didn't know Cherry had a little sister. Or more than her. Her sister may be the same age as London Witch. It could be possible that they know each other. I tried so hard to be nice, I really did. This kid, you just had such a sour attitude. I am not sour! I know what you mean. These days really all light up now. Exactly. Or at least don't give workers just doing their job away with looking sass for no reason. No. A kid with a sour attitude. What school's your sister in? Skip that. Do you have any of these past few weeks? I realize most of the time when we come in here, we mostly talk about me. What have you been up to? Oh, that's silly. We talk about me plenty. Really can't think of anything exciting. Oh, I haven't tested out this new recipe for a cherry brownie recently. Maybe next time you stop by, I could give you a bite. You'll be my little taste tester. Brownie, you say? Damn, I'd do anything to eat a cherry brownie right now. That sounds delicious. But the information didn't help me at all. You were the Everlasting did yesterday. Huh? What did they do? Some jackass claiming to be with the Everlasting tried robbing one of the council members. This wasn't true at all, actually. I just wanted to see if Cherry would have any sort of strange reaction. Call the hunch, I suppose. Cherry, not failing to disappoint, looked like she was about to choke on her own drink. Really? You gotta be kidding. To do something like that? She took a deep breath in. That's just horrible. Awful. Did anyone get hurt? Did anyone get caught? Anyone even back to me? Thankfully, no. Imprisoned the sucker behind it, though. She looked like she was about to say something, but quickly closed her mouth. I picked up on one thing about Cherry, it's that she wasn't much for hesitating. Something here is obviously wrong. Just talking to Cherry like this felt like the world's most casual interrogation. I was finding out a lot of things. Things that added up, things that made me have more questions. Luckily, I have the time necessary to get a bit more information out of her. Sugar Pie, you haven't touched your slice yet. Is something the matter? Cherry looked concerned. Shut, can't ever catch on to me. I left it off, telling her I just enjoyed her company. So much I've forgotten to eat. Meanwhile, grabbing my fork to eat some good old pie. I took a bite, the cherry flavor filling my very senses. It doesn't taste like a normal pie. Oh no! Did you, write a recipe for your pies? You know, use a different grade of child? You can say that. Tastes that drink tastes a little lemony. I'm starting to feel strange, dizzy, discombobulated even. No, I was beginning to grow drowsier, and drowsier by the moment. did. Bonk. My head was pounding the second I regained consciousness. Why is your saw cherry themed? Before I could even try to get these old muscles to move, I realized I was tightly wrapped in some sort of rope. No, it needs to be vines. Cherry vines. Ah! There you are! In my hand, I was greeted by the face of my captor. My instinct was to use defensive magic. As if a blast of energy to push it away from me. The second I tried, nothing happened. I didn't expect a sparkles dust or any of that crap. You, what did you do to me? Oh, nothing serious. I promise. I just slipped something in your pie. The fellas have been working on a magic blocker. Say it's even stronger than the ones you council witches folk use. A pinch of that, a little bit of mild tranquilizers, and lots of sugar and cherries to hide it all. I mix it all up, and ta-da! I have you right where I want you. You're gonna kill me. And you're going to kill me. Oh, golly, no, of course not. I just want to have a little chat. That's all. What about? Well, you're killing witches. You're going to be everlasting, aren't you? Oh, don't look at me like that. Really not so bad. The criminals, cherry pie, killers, thieves. Now it seems you are too. Your words hurt. Inquiry. After everything I've done to try and save you, too. No, I gotta have patience. Soon you'll understand. Soon we'll be together and happy for all of eternity. No. What? You've always been my favorite customer, Inquiry. Being in my little friend group, it's a necessity for me. A life of chaos and torment with no end. It's just my fate in this world, I'm afraid. But you were always kind, always warm to me. When you came in that life, I wore 10 bombs. I was able to be a normal witch. Just a cute little cafe owner flirting with a lovely lady, making pies, people smile. With you, I finally feel like I can live the life of my dreams. I can't wait for you to come by only on your breaks anymore. I want you to be able to call this place your home. I want to be able to call myself your wife one day. I'll make you coffee every morning. Just the way you like it. I'll give you kisses every night. Together we can be the perfect, picturesque couple. Living a happy, normal life, harvesting organs. That's all I want. Do you type and drug everyone you ask out on dates, cherry pie? No, you're the first. The only. Oh, great, that's absolutely wonderful. I feel like I'm very special. My one and only. This girl has absolutely lost her mind. Look, I'm flattered, but with a look of fear in her eyes before I even finish my sentence, her eye began twitching as I took my next breath. I really should be careful with my words here. I'm sure you're wonderful. Your workplace and my workplace, it just clashes a lot, Look, just let me out of here and we can chat about this more. I'm sure you'll find that they don't clash as much as you think. When an organization that claims to be cares so much about life, nothing was really done until your little inventor witch friend went missing. What about the Spider Witch? Lily Pad Witch? No one cared when they disappeared. Not one of you was sent out to look for them. The Council of Witches only cares about those whose specialties they deem important. If you hide numbers along the way, it's just bonus points. You all are just as indifferent to the death of others as I am. A ringing noise can be heard from the other room. Ah, another customer's here. I'll be back shortly, okay, my darling? You'll have more time to think it all over. Cherry Pie skipped out the door. The clicking noise behind her indicated she locked it shut. Using the opportunity placed in front of me, I started to try to bend and break the vines holding members captive. Twisting them off was a struggle, I'll admit, but nothing I haven't dealt with before. Once my hands were freed, my next move was to cut the rest of the vines off using a knife in my... Damn it. She took all my belongings out of my pockets. Of course. My communicator wasn't there along with my other tools. So much for being able to call for help. I'll have to find out where she put them before I'm able to make my escape.
Okay, Taka.
I was able to get another look at the room. It really was near inside. There must be something in it that can help unlock the door. Gameplay! What is this place? You're in a little teeny tiny room I like to call the slice and dice room. But don't worry, sweetie pie. There'll be no slicing nor dicing here today. Then why bring me here? Oh, you were getting really close to solving your case, see? My friends have been keeping tabs on you. They were going to take care of you themselves, but, well, I managed to convince them to have a little chat with you instead. Try to bring you to our side. I've seen one of these before. They're magic cooling shelves. She must be using them to keep the body parts cooled. She cleaned out the blood. I wonder why. Curious as to closer to observe the being. It's a doll. Why have such a gruesome doll on a cooling shelf? She's making dolls. The most eye-catching thing in this room by far had to be the operating table. This system is a blood smell that proves the shell sorry Cherry was with for work. So it's true. All those witches really did that in Cherry's hands. I doubt they went peacefully. Or souls. A bloody pipe from circular saw. Yikes.
I would have actually appreciated a cold, resistant food.
Damn it, it's Loctite. In every case I've ever seen involving the Everlasting, there's always some sort of strange puzzle in these sort of hidden rooms. Apparently, according to my sources, they have a bad habit of accidentally locking each other in. Damn idiots. Regardless, if Cherry is in the Everlasting, then it must be one of those puzzles in here that can unlock the door from the inside. The giant chest caught my eye.